The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.
Welcome to How to Money with Cole and Cole.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Cole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation on investing, retirement, and everything in between.
At Full Swing Financial Planning, we're here to empower you to take control of your plan, your way, for your financial future.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Cole and Cole. I am Bailey Ashbrook, sitting here with Cole Jaskey today. One Cole.
Cole solo today.
I always feel like when there's one of you, I just have to start like, hey, there's one Cole.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of confusing unless you really know your voice.
I know.
Which Cole's Cole.
The Cole thing's just an ongoing,
play.
Always like, which Cole you referring to?
And I feel bad. I'll just be in general conversation with one of them, like, hey, Cole P, hey, Cole Jask, because I don't ever just say your first name anymore, even if I'm just kind of part of your life now.
Yep.
Our life. So, summer's in full force. Baseball, kids are out of school, golf, swim lessons, all the things.
Yeah, it's a little chaotic with the schedules, just running kids everywhere.
Yes.
Quick, shout out. It was Father's Day weekend this past weekend.
Yeah, what'd you do? Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Yeah, I spent a full weekend of golf and baseball with my older boy. So Kale and I always play the Iowa Golf Association father-son that's in Jester Park. Each year it's an alternate shot. We play the par 3 course until he gets, I think, 11. We were the first losers.
He's almost
we were the first losers. We got runner up. So we've progressed each year. This is our third year. We've progressed each year, and we move up to a new age division next year. So we'll see. But I would say we each hit kind of one really squirrely shot that cost us the win.
Both of you? At least you both did it.
And then we had a baseball tournament. So we spent,
I was going to say, you were busy.
Humidity was off the charts this weekend for anyone that spent time outside. It was unbelievably humid.
Yes.
And it's going to get like wicked humid here the next week. This weekend's like 105 heat index, I see. So
it's nasty.
Good luck to anyone. I know there's a lot of softball, state softball for youth this weekend here in Iowa. So it's going to be hot and chance of storms. It seems like every day. It's that time. I kind of like this weather though, like where it's like volatile, like stormy and rainy.
Just like the market,
Yeah, that's it. I know. Great analogy right now. We've got all kinds of stuff going on.
So what else we got going? We got Cole's gone, no Cubs recap.
Yep. For all the listeners, I was on Cole's Cubs recap. So.
He's giddy about it.
They are hot still,
hot,
though.
Hot like the summer.
Yep, they're hot. But, we got Caitlin Clark coming back off injury. I know you wanted to talk about that.
Come on, she hit 3 threes, which I understand there's someone that has scored more points, but in like 38 seconds. But if you watch the range and how...
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think she had like 25 in the first half. She was killing it. She was ready. It was like a caged animal that's been sitting out.
Yeah, and they that was against the best team at the point in the WNBA, right?
Yep.
So awesome.
Big.
It's cool to have her back. I saw some stuff on her being gone on like ticket sales and stuff, and how big a draw she's obviously is to the game. So
Clark economics.
Yep.
That's a real thing.
Cool to see. It's still trending pretty heavily around here.
Yeah. Well, happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
I know it's a big deal. We have 3 dads in our office.
Yep.
And they do a lot for our office. They're very committed to Full Swing, and they're also very committed to their family and their kids. And I think that's equally as important. So it's great to have that representation.
A lot of coaching going on in our office for youth sports right now. We just have kids. Seems in every different
Luke
sport.
coaches, you coach. Cole P is always coaching something. The girls have softball. Alexa, your assistants, their team won this weekend.
Yeah.
Cole P's son team won. It's just, I don't remember being this busy as a kid, but maybe it's just different times.
I know it is. I lived in the country though, so like we didn't get involved in a lot of the youth like travel sports because I'm like no one was taking me, so I didn't get to do baseball until I could drive a moped, which is like
classic.
I can't remember, but I lived like 20 miles outside of Gowrie, and I would drive in Gowrie where I went to high school at, and it was probably 15 miles in the country, and I'd drive my moped, which went 28 mile an hour.
It was just going to took you a while probably.
So that's what I did for a while. So
these farmers, you had to work first.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so today we are going to cover the topic social media in finances. and why some of the information you hear is good and some may be risky. But today's goal is just to help you learn how to vet money tips online. I would say
Finfluencers, right? That's
are we
they're called,
Finfluencers?
you know?
Yeah,
that's what they're called.
That's what they're called. These are people who are doing financial influencing online. They're making videos, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the things. And they might be just talking about their story. They might just be taking a hot take. But I would say, and obviously we talk about AI and internet and all the powerful tools, any topic, parenting, golf, finances, how diet, work, anything you look up. I mean, it's a go-to place for information. It's a great place for information. I always think, wow, what a powerful tool. Like I always think of our parents. We just have so much more information than they did at our fingertips. But it's really hard to go through and finger through what is good advice and what is bad advice. Because we hear of a lot of people getting advice off the internet, getting advice from their coworker that's never in finances, or just anything. They're just getting, and how do we know this is solid, sound financial information?
Yeah, it's there's just so much out there. So you do got to know, because unfortunately, with all the good, there is the bad, and there is, a lot of people do have an agenda, right? On are they pushing a specific topic, product, a program, subscribe to me for this, or a newsletter, whatever it is. So just be aware and make sure, you're just checking multiple sources. So if you got something that you get off TikTok or Instagram or whatever it might be, and you're going to implement it in your life, whether it's a decision you're going to make, probably better make sure you get a couple other sources or fact check yourself before you make a really big decision on something you see on a YouTube short, or something like that. Because
bad advice can set you back. It can put you in a debt trap, unnecessary risk, tax headaches, or we see so many people who get scammed on these social medias. Like, hey, give me this money and I'll buy crypto for you. And like, there's just so many people out there, again, with their own agenda, but there's some people out there that have very good, sound, solid advice. I'm not saying it's all bad, but we were looking up how many influencers, financial, I mean, the influencer thing is its own topic, but how many financial influencers are online?
Well, you told me before the podcast.
Yes,
so
I'm just pausing for drama. Over 140,000 and
crazy.
climbing. And these aren't people, and I'm not saying you have to have, but these are people who are not certified financial planners, don't have license like us. They're not advisors. Anyone can start their own YouTube channel and start breaking down financial advice. They
don't really have any risk for being wrong.
Yes.
Right? If they're just putting information out there, they're not really, no one's going to hold them liable because it's just public knowledge, right? So, and they also, I think, the biggest thing that concerns me is always each individual has their own, tax situation, it's very customized, right?
Yes.
Or individualized, because my tax bracket looks different than someone else's, or a decision I might make might be completely different. Someone lives in Texas. Texas doesn't have any state income tax, right? There's those implications can be so different based on not only where you live, but your individual situation.
So we think you should, when you're doom scrolling at night and you're worried
about... It's the worst,
I know.
I'm just like, I think, how much time did I kill doing that? I'm like, it's just brain numbing.
Well, you always think you're decompressing or like taking time for yourself. And I'm always like, you feel worse after. So are we really decompressing?
What do you think? This is, sorry, for our listeners. What is worse, you think, of like binge watching Netflix? Like say you had a new series on Netflix and you watch the whole first season, or your hour and a half or whatever right before bed from 8 to 10 that you doom scroll on Facebook or Instagram? What do you think's worse?
Well, here's how my brain works. If I'm scrolling, I'm in deep thought. I'm thinking about this is me personally. I'm like, my brain's turned on. I'm thinking like if I'm, you know what I mean? Because it's usually advice or like someone working out or whatever. I'm like my algorithm, which knows you very well and keeps you on there. But when I watch TV, my brain's completely off. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
I guess.
What's the goal?
Are you engaging your brain or not? Or are you just like kind of there?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I don't know which worse to me. It depends.
Screens, powerful. He said doom scrolling is way worse, our producer. I would say the same.
I would agree, because then you also, that influenced me just of like, I was just thinking like, you can go on a whole different topic too. Like that, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to look, or when I wake up, all of a sudden this is the new thing that my algorithm's putting in front of me that's wasting my day.
And I always do. I get caught I even think about when I'm scrolling and like hearing financial advice, whatever, is like, who am I listening to? Like you're letting people you don't know have such an influence in your life. And I'm not saying there's not good influence. I think a lot of people make connections and there's, again, a lot of education online. but it is a powerful influence. And you're like looking at someone who's influencing you financially. Let's say you're scrolling on financial advice. I talked to our intern about this. He's like, I was scrolling and my algorithm just kept feeding me stuff. And he said, I had to take a step back because I realized I was listening to people I don't even really want to be like. So that was really good to hear.
That's kind of the downfall of it. Like, you don't know, is that person, maybe that person's a criminal or has did something on the backside that you know nothing about, or they're completely like, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, in the industry or in our industry that don't take their own advice, or they don't practice what they preach, right? So they're saying one thing, but they're acting a different. Or
they're a social media influencer telling you how to get rich quick, or just get rich and this is the way, and they're actually broke in like 100,000, but they have a really nice car. So that's just what we're just saying. Like, so these are 3 questions to vet online money advice. Okay, number 1 question to ask yourself: who is giving the advice?
Yeah. So are they credentialed? Are they, someone that's, CFP, which is a certified financial planner? That's common in our industry. A CPA, certified public accountant, or a fiduciary advisor, or something that.
Well, it's just like any industry: good teachers, bad teachers, good podcast producers, bad pod. I mean, there's
some people are good book learners, right? They can pass a test and they know how to do that, right? But at least if you do have someone that is accredited or has the credentials or has some type of experience in that industry, you probably are in a better, you can trust a little bit of what they're going to say. Yes. You still need to do your research and make sure. Ultimately it comes back to you're checking, if you're going to make a decision on that, you're kind of double, triple checking your work, right?
Yes.
But I'm trying to think if there's anyone that I would say I'm more, when I'm looking, I wouldn't call them Finfluencers, but like accounting stuff is like YouTube. I'll get on YouTube and there's a lot of great how-to videos and stuff for people that are maybe specialists in an accounting software, or they're, some type of financial accounting. That's where I would say I've looked at stuff, because I don't have as much of accounting background or tax background, but I've learned over the years. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to. And I like to watch videos to learn. That's kind of a way I do.
I listen to podcasts on finance. I read, but again, it's just who's giving the advice, and are they sharing personal experience or professional guidance?
Yep.
So there's a difference. Professional guidance.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Professional guidance, like us, like kind of what we do here, is kind of more for the whole person. But personal experience is someone that's trying to relate to you. Like, hey, I was in this situation. Now I'm in this situation financially. So again, do you connect with them? Are they really trying to get to the goals you're getting to? So, and then number 2 question: when you are listening to TikTok doom scrolling, what's in it for them? Why is this person posting this?
Yeah. And that classic at the end, if you want to hear more, subscribe to this, or, we'll send you a free book, for going to this website and signing up for our newsletter. Those things, generally there's some, or purchase this product because this will help you solve X, Y, Z. You got to know, and sometimes there's not. Sometimes just, hey, they want views, right? That's part of the, it's part of what we're doing with the podcast.
They're selling their viewership.
We want views, we want engagement. So sometimes there isn't, a direct motivation, but there might be things that are, to grab attention that might not be correct, right? Hey, it's a good attention grabber, but hey, that's, probably a little incorrect or material misrepresented.
Correct.
Right? So be careful of that. And again,
and are they transparent about who they are, why they're saying it? Are they sponsored? Are they getting commissions? Like,
sponsor's a good thing too, or, whatever that is on the back end where someone is, hey, we're going to pay you to push this or to push this narrative, push this product.
We were just talking about this, like the amount of influencers, financial or not, that are pushing products, like linking, hey, I use this. I really wish there would be like a law, like you actually have to use the product for 6 months and give your, but that's just not the way it is. It's the brand world we live in. Financial influencers online get brand deals. Someone will literally say, hey, post this, I'll pay you $20,000. And those are things you need to take into consideration.
We're open to brand deals.
Yeah. Full Swing, it's a great name. Okay. And number 3 question: does it align with your goals?
Just because it worked for them doesn't mean it could be right for you.
Correct.
Right? That's what you wrote down on our little tip sheet here. And that's like completely
true.
And this is that not one size fits all thing that I was kind of talking about, of like everyone is, in a different situation. And that's where I hate the narrative of to the masses, or like,
Yes.
you know, in our industry, it's, I see us as very customized per individual, and every individual's background, you know, is very, very different, and situations very, very different. So I think it's hard to sit here in our shoes and say, hey, this works for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone should do this. Very rarely is there a strategy that I maybe like, hey, save more. That probably couldn't hurt anyone.
Yeah,
Other than
like
that,
everyone who saves more is going to have a better outcome.
Other than that, pretty much any advice that we're giving it could be right for this person, wrong for this person.
Well, there's just too many variables in everyone's life: income, debt, family situation, time, money. There's just too much. But I think another thing when you're listening, does it align with your goals? Is it really realistic? If something sounds good to be true online, we talk about this all the time. Like, we get this question a lot, like, when people's parents are starting to get sick, they're like, well, what if I just move all their assets?
Yeah.
We get that to me right now. And then the government can't get them when they go to, and if anything was that easy in finance, everyone would be doing it. Just like online. If you hear this advice, like get rich or just do these 3 steps and you'll be a millionaire in 5 years, or someone's pressuring to take their advice and use their stuff, it's probably too good to be true.
You bring up a really good point on the legal advice tied to finances, right? And that is a big thing that is online. There's people saying, hey, you should do this type of trust or this because it can protect assets. But what they don't tell you is, you know, there's also state level jurisdictions, especially same thing in our industry. There's state level, and then there's, you know, the overall federal level of things. And that's where, you know, you've got to be very, very careful, because there's, well, you know, what is in Florida, you know, probate law in Florida is different than probate law in Iowa, and trust law in Florida is different than trust law in Iowa.
Let's not even bring California into it.
Yeah, I know.
They're crazy over
it's
their laws.
It's one of those things of like, you know, you don't know. So, but that person on, you know, the video or the reel or whatever it is, you know, they're trying to grab that attention, or maybe do know something that works very well in their specific area, but it might not work in Iowa.
And it might not work for you.
Yep.
So I think, how do you cross-check this advice? Like, how do you, because I personally have a few people online I follow that I know are certified people. They have license, they have experience, and I love listening to them because I love, one, continually educating myself for our clients. But how do you check them? So we personally have broker-dealer check. You can look up any advisor online. You can get their years of experience.
Google broker check, and you can look any advisor that has a securities license. You can look them up, has all their information on it, where they're registered through, if they have any disclosures, you know, if they've made any, you know, oopsies, or
if someone got mad and left them
filed a complaint. We have to, any complaints have to be filed. So
there's CFP boards, there's FINRA, there's so many things. You can look the person up online, and I think, and just with the power, you can probably look up their history themselves, just like where is their background, where have they come from. These more the financial influencers.
I have had this happen quite a bit, where I've had clients see something and then they send it to me, right? And that's okay, right? That's a okay thing. Hey, should we look into this? Like, I've had that strategy where someone sees something on, I don't have TikTok, but I have people send me TikTok, and then I'm like, hey, I can't look at this because I don't have TikTok.
Luke says this. So, the amount of times I've sent Luke a TikTok, like a yard idea or something, he's like, I've told you I don't have TikTok. I'm like, yeah, I'll show you later.
I get that all the time, but they send something, and I'll maybe vet it out, or I'll be like, you know,
so run the idea by your trusted
pros
person.
and cons of that, or no, that's completely false.
And I think building a circle you trust, and obviously we're focusing on financial advice here in Finfluencers or whatever they are. That's what we're talking about. But in general, in life, this is also good advice. But follow credible professionals and organizations, like people that you trust that have the experience, like a Cole Jasky. No, I'm just kidding. But just, you know what I mean? Someone that's credentialed and has the experience. I like this one. Let social media inspire you, not dictate your plan.
Yep.
And I think, again, that's when you get doom scrolling, like, oh, I hear this advice, I'm going to follow it. And it's usually for people that are probably feeling a little hopeless in their plan, that they're like, this will be a quick fix. So again, your financial strategy should be personalized to you, and that's probably not coming from TikTok advice.
The quick fix, that is kind of social media in a nutshell. Everyone's got a quick fix or a quick solution to a
what kind of world do we live in? A world of convenience, right? And a world of so much knowledge on the internet. It's just getting bigger, obviously, with AI. So it's just, again, like taking that pause and really asking yourself, who am I viewing? Is it hitting my goals? And are they good people? And do I want to follow their advice?
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.
Let's do a little dollars and cents.
Dollar bills, y'all.
What do you got, Cole?
I don't have anything, real crazy market wise or anything, but we're in the full swing of baseball season, getting ready to the dog days of summer, as they call it in the MLB.
Yeah.
That's like the super hot days. So I literally just wanted to know what are some of the wildest MLB stats, and I thought this one was crazy. So some of my diehard baseball people will know this, but Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,632 consecutive major league games for the Baltimore Orioles.
That's crazy, especially he did not have the medical attention they do now.
So think about that, though. It's 7.2 years. So he played for baseball games 7.2 years in a row. Straight. Like that's,
how many games were back then? Do you know? I'm really testing you now.
It was similar. It was very similar. It's been 162. Was that what it was back then? And it is now, right? That's what it is now. So I don't think that's changed in a long time. So, but I thought that was quite crazy. You don't really see that anymore now. And yes, obviously there's maybe a little more, cautionary on the medical side. You very rarely see anyone play.
That's just impressive in any sport.
So crazy, but
always resting.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool, kind of tying into our baseball summer.
You're deep in the baseball world.
Oh my gosh, that's all I'm doing. We're planning every weekend around baseball tournaments and where we're staying, and I've got a real busy one coming up. We got a wedding. My sister's getting married. And then we requested the tournament director pool play on Saturday. We had to say, hey, we got a wedding. Can we get early games so then we can get back for the wedding so Kale doesn't have to miss? So we're double duty in that day.
Well, you can't lose then, because even if you lose, don't you get later games?
Yeah. So, well, Sunday doesn't matter because the wedding's over.
Oh,
so
it matters.
It's a Saturday
you'll be
wedding.
Tired.
It's a Saturday wedding. So.
All right. Any others? Is that it?
That's it. Let's get back to it.
Okay, well, let me kind of pivot into a dollars and cents segment I didn't plan on. So the hashtag FinTalk, the financial influencers, and this is quoted medium.com. So financial TikTok views has alone accumulated over 4.7 billion views. That's how much finance content is out there. So this is a very important topic, I think. Broader financial related hashtags such as personal finance have reached 5.2 billion views. Then there's even broader financial hashtags that people, who are posting this content use. Personal finance, financial tips. Those are 5.2 billion views and 37 million views. So just think of the impact of especially younger generation. Yeah. I mean, I'm
even
not saying
older generation.
Yes,
now.
I agree. There's plenty of older people, but their first experience in finance is probably TikTok.
My dad does it. My dad sends me like things of like, hey, should we look into this? Like at 4 a.m. scrolling Instagram or whatever he's on. I don't know. But
that is billions of views of financial advice. I mean, and everyone loves free advice, but just sometimes remember you're getting what you paid for.
I'm probably missing something, but I would say fitness and finance are probably the top two of like reels and different topics. I would say, I don't know, maybe politics probably up there or something, but that's more the emotional side.
The average FinTalk star has over 50,000 followers.
We got to pick up our game.
Yeah, come on, guys. Subscribe, we have good financial sound advice.
I know.
So don't forget to do that. But honestly, I think it's just important to recognize the impact social media has on people in financial planning, younger or older.
All right, we're gonna go into some scenarios here where Bailey and I did some research. We can't go too deep into links and where this actual came from because of compliance wise, right? Because we can't be sending out, some link to something that is incorrect advice, right? We want to try to be as factual as possible, but we did our
and not all
our
these
homework.
are negative. So
Yep, and we brought back some advice that we found, on the different platforms, and we wanted to throw
break
them
it
out
down.
there.
All right, I'm doom scrolling TikTok, and here's what I heard: never pay off your mortgage. Use a HELOC to invest. Cole Jaski, what do you think of that advice?
Yeah, I mean, again, all these, I'm going to start with the caveat of saying individual situation. This one, I probably would never. I'm never going to tell someone your home equity line of credit.
Explain what a HELOC is real quick for those who do not know.
It's actually really, it's a second mortgage on your property. You have equity in your house. So say your house is worth $500,000. You only owe a mortgage of $200,000. Some secondary bank will give you another $100,000 as a second mortgage on your house because you have a lot of equity in there. So you're borrowing against that equity. Now, technically, I'm not the rules guy here, but I believe a home equity line of credit is supposed to be used on your home. Most people do not do that. Very few actually put it in.
I was just going to say.
Very few do that. Some will buy a boat. Some will pay off high interest credit card debt, whatever it might be. But I believe it's generally supposed to be for infrastructure in your house. It was designed originally for hey, we're remodeling the kitchen. We want $50,000 to put back into the house because the mortgage is technically tied, or that home equity line of credit is tied to your equity in your mortgage. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, other thing is generally your mortgage, your traditional mortgage, you're thinking of, hey, using your HELOC for outside things too, is it's a variable rate, right? You're not
there's
locked
no
in.
context. They gave no context on this advice. Like, what's the rate, the emotional stress, like all these things that play into this.
And here's a big pitfall of that too, is if, say, because valuation on a home is very subjective to an appraisal, right? Appraisals can change based on market values, right? Right now, we're kind of going through a period where houses are losing a little value, actually, for the first time nationally. I'm talking, not, there's areas that there's always caveats, but what happens if, some bank lends you more than, gives you super high appraisal, they give you a big, equity line of credit, and then you need to sell or you need to move because you got a different job, and your house went down 20% in value, and now you're upside down in your property because you have the home equity line of credit. Now you can't move because you can't sell the property for what you owe on the first mortgage and the home equity line of credit. So that's now generally you're not going to get approved for a home equity line of credit if you don't have quite a buffer there. Right. But that could happen, and those are things, or more or less, I think it comes down to, it creates sometimes bad financial purchasing decisions because you're like, oh, this is nice. I got an extra $50,000 that I can use.
And it's like, let's think about the risk here. If everyone could just take out a loan on their home, a HELOC, and it outpaced with investment returns, if it was that easy, right? This is a very risky strategy. One, the returns have to outpace the rate of the HELOC. Two, you lose your job. You can't afford this. You are literally putting your house up for the bank to take back if something in your life goes wrong and you can't afford these payments. And it's just for returns that aren't guaranteed.
I would just be a strong advocate for people to, if you're using a home equity line of credit, use it for improvements on your house.
Yes.
Try to stick with the discipline of doing that.
All right, TikTok. Thank you for that. Okay, number 2, this was YouTube. And this video's context was a 28-day financial cleanse. And this is basically a 28 days to step through, just take small steps, cancel unsubscribed subscriptions, automate savings, build an emergency fund, do a budget. This was like, take these 28 days and take time to do this.
I feel like this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a pretty good video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something you'd be like an advocate for, because there was a lot of, it was like a lot of basics.
Yeah,
right?
it was it
basic
was
stuff.
Starter kit.
Yep.
But I also, 28 days, that's a tough turnaround. You know what I mean? Like, that's a pressure to get. I mean, some people function like that. Some people don't. Some people would love to just get 28 days, organized, boom, boom, boom. Some would feel very overwhelmed by that. It's like when you do a detox of a diet. 2 weeks in, you're like, it was going great. Now I'm kind of like,
I'm off the wagon.
And when you go off, you go off. But I think it's solid steps, like finding a video like this online that you can just get yourself motivated to get organized.
Yeah, and I think, this, when I say what can you do in 28 days financially, I'd really say budget is probably get a detailed, maybe on the expense side, like let's take 30 days or 28 days in this example, and look at, maybe a couple months worth of bank statements and kind of, track all your expenses out. Right. And like you said, I don't think you can get a full financial plan that quick, but you can get a pretty good handle on at least the expense side in 28 days.
I would say the video limits of this, or there's no tailored advice to your personal. And I think that's, again, what we talk about. It's very general advice. There's little guidance and tools. But
was it a popular one?
It was I should have wrote how many views, but it was very popular. It was a popular lady YouTuber that does this kind of stuff. So, all right, let's go back to TikTok. And I feel like this one's could go either way. Never lease a car. Always buy used with cash.
Yeah.
Could you guess this influencer?
Yeah. No, probably not.
Really?
But, is it someone I would know?
He's like oh, come on. This is very obvious who this is.
Do you know who it is, Peter?
Yeah. Yep. Huh? He said it. Don't say it. We'll get it cut out. Yeah. Very popular man. He's been doing it a long time.
I got it. Yeah. Okay. Now that makes complete sense. There are times, depending on work situations, times where sometimes you don't have, what if you need a car? The only way you can maybe afford it is to lease it. There are times when unfortunately some people need cars to travel, right? And not everywhere has public transportation, those things. So I would say, very individualized. There's not a one size fits all. And I also think of there's a lot of businesses that will lease cars.
I was just going to say
business owners, because you're hey, I want
to.
This is solely a business expense. The lease payment is fully deductible versus owning a car. You have to depreciate, and it's much a different tax schedule, right? That's a thing of this influencer. That can change, right? Yep. And I think this individual is more tied to very personal situations. So it does probably make more sense. But again, I don't think it's one size fits all.
Correct. And I would also say that the good thing about this is I think we see a lot of people, if they are leasing a car, it's usually because the car's outside their mean. Not always, but usually. Yep. Sometimes that is a thing. I'd rather lease it because I can have a nicer car and it's just a consistent payment. But the thing that this advice did not say is you don't own the asset. And if you do the math, sometimes you are going to pay, most times you're going to pay more than if you bought a car. It's just, different for each person. So we'll go neutral with that one. Is that how you feel about it? Pretty neutral.
I would say depends on the situation. Here's the thing. There are people out there that they're going to have a nice car no matter what.
Yep, that's true.
And whether they can afford it or not. And I've had some people in retirement, I'm like, man, I would just prefer you to lease. So because I think there are times where people will go from 2 or 3 cars. Later in retirement, they might shrink down to 1, right? And there might be a transition period where, hey, maybe it does make sense. Let's lease a car for a couple years while we're both really active, and then we'll just have car A, when we kind of get to that point. And there are times where that happens, or I'm just well, they're going to be upside down if they actually traditionally try to buy because they can't come up with the money. Versus the lease, it might cost you a little more, but ultimately, hey, we can just, at the end of the terms, if you fulfill the contract, you can give the car back. So you can kind of reset.
All right, let's go to the next one. Another TikTok. Invest $500 a month equals to be a millionaire.
It's very generic, right?
General.
General for them. And that's a common. It used to be the Roth IRA limits were $6,000. Now they're more. So it's $500 times 12, $6,000 a year is the max you could get. But I think there's a lot of hypotheticals you can go look out there online of hey, if I started, $500 at age 18, how long would it take me to become a millionaire?
If I averaged 8 years return,
if I get a S&P 500 index return, I think this is...
I think it highlights the power of long-term investing, which is great. I really like, consistency. Just put 500 away, you let it grow. But there's obviously this is general advice. There's missing pieces to this. So kind of oversimplifies everything.
Yeah, I would say it's very broad, right? On this, and another example of, if they were specifically talking into a Roth IRA, some people can't do a Roth IRA.
And some people are okay, I'll just do 500 Roth IRA. And then they find out at the end of the year, oh,
yep, they go to do their taxes hey, I should have did the Roth contribution because I'm not allowed to do the Roth contribution based on my income. Yeah. But anyone can buy an index fund though.
So. But we love investing, so I'm going to give this,
I would say 500 is I was trying to think of all the people. We have so many that do monthly contributions, probably hundreds and hundreds in our office, but 500 is a very between 250 and 500 is like a very common.
Yeah.
That's a
I
very
was gonna
common
say,
number. Like
yeah.
a lot of people do. They're like they might start at 250, or I have quite a few at like 500, but that's right in that range is very common.
I would agree with that. Okay, TikTok. I just feel like I know what you're going to say about this one, but we'll see. Ready? Buy crypto using your student loans.
Yeah, if you're doing this, please stop.
Yeah, that's just bad advice all around. There's
don't-
nothing good about this.
Don't do this, right?
I bet there's some kids that hear
Of
this,
course.
see this, and they go do it. One, crypto's so risky. Two, you're taking out high interest loans. Like student loans are holding people back. We all know this. And wow, there's just like high risk, high debt. It's like disaster on wheels.
It is kind of scary. I can remember. I only had to take. I was very fortunate. I only had to take student loan my first year in college. Other than that, my scholarship for football covered all my needs.
He was a peacock, guys.
But I lived on campus. I had the higher meal plan and all that. But I remember getting what we called OP checks, overpayment checks, right? It was what we qualified for our student loans you could take out. And I'm like, this is so, I even at that time remember, this is so dangerous of like, I did not need all that money right then.
No.
Right. And so much of like,
And
I
you
think it
could
was
do
like
anything with it.
$6,000 like twice a year. And I was like,
What'd you do with
this-
it?
Not great stuff.
Beer money?
Yeah, beer money, maybe, a few casino trips. Like there was times where I'm like,
This is not good advice.
Now,
people.
as I moved up, but I was thinking like, what if I would have went and bought that, bought crypto? Now, yeah, at that time, I wish I would have put everything in it because it'd be worth a
Date
lot.
yourself.
But you're borrowing the money for a risk-based asset, right? It's one of those things. It's just like using a credit card and buying something that you can't afford,
Yeah,
and you're
that's
just
a
going to
good
run
analogy.
you're going to run a credit card balance, pay interest on it. Now, yes, you might get lucky and hit a home run and you can pay that off, whatever it might be. But if you do it multiple times, there's going to be times where it really, really hurts you. And then you're like, well, this did me no good, but put me, backtracked my financial planning.
How many super wealthy people do you have that are like, I just got really lucky and that's why I'm wealthy because I did this one thing, and that's not what it is. It's not a fancy thing. It's just consistency and doing a plan. So.
And the student loan should be used for going to college or your higher education payments or your
You
living
always
expense
say
or
I
whatever.
shout out Luke on the podcast. Here it is, Luke, student loans straight to party money. I mean, it was tough, man. I love you, buddy, but woo, someone should have capped you there.
It was honestly that's the student loan system is very flawed.
Yes,
it might be
because-
different. It might be different now, but the overpayment situation that we got, like so many kids that I went to school, is the exact same thing.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is wild how much money we're all receiving.
It should just go to the school.
Yeah. I was like, that is crazy.
And let's just use this to empower people. Yes, kids should know better, but your brain isn't fully
At that
developed.
time, I didn't
I just
care.
want you to know that 18-year-old's brain is not fully developed. So parents, this is where you should really step in before your kids get on TikTok and do stuff like this about student loans, and educate your kid on student loans and make sure they are applying it properly. And yes, they're adults. They can do whatever they want, but you influence them. Don't let a stranger
They're
influence
adults,
them.
but they're still kids, right?
Yes.
So
Kid brain. I always say not developed. Okay. TikTok, another one. Use payday loans to invest.
oh gosh. Where'd you pull these from?
These
you
are
must-
like very popular TikToks, by the way.
I mean,
Again, if it's not your money, don't invest it.
it's the
How about
same
that?
concept. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I mean, you should be this comes back to kind of basics of when we sit and meet with a client the very first time. We'll go through and say, okay, what are you currently saving? What are you doing there? And all they have is debts, and they're like, yeah, I have nothing saved, but I want to start saving $500 a month, but I have $32,000 in credit card debt. We're not going to recommend you doing any investing until you get a handle on your debt situation, because obviously you can't just do that right now. How are we going to do that? Plus invest for your future. So
I would say on TikTok, a lot of leveraging is discussed. Like leverage this, buy this, like passive income, rentals, and all. I understand like people do leverage and do things, but like for the average investor, like we talk about, have a solid financial emergency fund. It's not the crazy stuff. It's like basic budget, invest consistently.
are payday loans still a thing?
I don't know.
I feel like a lot of those businesses
Me
went
too.
out
So
of business, or they're like scams.
Also tells you that maybe the advice isn't even like real advice to use. So just someone getting views.
They could be pushing the payday loan program, like, hey, use this company, use whatever XYZ company. We're just trying to grab payday loans.
All right, another TikTok. Make minimum credit card payments and invest the rest.
Yeah,
I don't love this at
I
all.
don't see any way where sometimes you can find like, oh, that does make sense. Like situation, it's like this caveat does make it make sense. Probably never is going to be a time where you should, if you're running a credit card balance, just making the minimum payment ever really makes sense. Now, maybe it's where if you're for a short period of time, right? If you're like, hey, I systematically invest $500, I'm short budget this month. I'm maybe going to carry the credit card balance because I know I've got a commission check coming in 2 months, whatever it might be. That might be the only caveat. But again, it comes back to if you're carrying a credit card, balance ongoing very consistently, and you're trying to do both, you maybe are investing too much, right? Maybe you need to, or somewhere along the line, there's a hole in your budget on what you're spending.
Outliving. I would just say like people forget, okay, let's say I'm investing and making the minimum payments. Great. My investments are growing. So is your debt. So your net worth is not, it's not growing. Your net worth is just staying.
And credit card interest, I don't know.
It's high.
But I've seen anywhere from 18 to 28% to up to 32%, I think actually is probably the highest. I'm like.
So your returns aren't outpacing what you're paying anyways.
Not to get political at all, but I would love to see this. I would love to see there was some stuff being thrown around of capping credit card interest at like 10%.
Oh, I would think that
would be actually really, really helpful across. It'd be bad for any American Expresses or credit card companies, but everyone else in the world that runs a credit card balance, it would be be very there'd be a lot of net margin gained by a lot of the world, unfortunately, because there's a very large percentage of people who carry credit card debt.
And I think people would hear this advice and be like, yeah, that's great advice because I do need to invest. I mean, I think everyone always thinks I need to invest more. I should have saved sooner. So like, this is a way to feel like you're still investing. But we talk a lot about behavior finance on this podcast and in our office. You are not enjoying if you are stressed. Like if you have this huge credit card bill and you're putting money away, you're not even enjoying the money you put away because you know that payment's creeping on you. Like you emotionally, it's wearing on you. So, all right, last one. Another TikTok. These are like, this must be like the popular topics online is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
Leverage in cars. Okay. Always lease your first car.
Cars have to be,
cars must be.
Cars are the thing that I would say I cringe. Any vehicle type goal that people have is generally the one that I'm like, just a lot. I mean, generally you're losing value.
Yeah.
Day one,
it's a depreciating
always.
asset.
Yep. So it's always like, it's a necessary evil, right? Of someone's everyday, especially we live in rural Iowa. Pretty much everyone has cars. If you live in the city or somewhere where hopefully, they have robo taxis and no one will probably have cars eventually, then we won't be talking about leasing or buying or anything there. But
don't go there.
This is like the complete opposite of the last one, like, never lease versus always lease. Very one-sided.
Car.
Yeah. Very one-sided, right? I would say one good thing about leasing too is it does help you build credit, right? And sometimes it's easier to qualify for because you might not need down payments, certain things there. But again, it's always one of those, we want things that we're building equity in long term, which is nice. Even if you're losing a value of a car, if you
still can sell it.
If you're ahead of your, depending on how much debt you have on it, if you're still ahead of the way it's depreciating in value, it's still a good thing at the end because ultimately if you need to, you can convert that asset to cash. Hopefully you get something at the end after you pay the debt.
I think for younger people, when I read this, like your first car you must lease, it makes me a little, because it's like, oh yeah, just don't put any down, pay this payment, it's minimal, like right away. But you got to remember the car dealership, they really want you to lease. They're there to make money, and they get the car back, and they're going to go resell that thing for more than you're going to sell.
There's definitely an incentive. I don't never looked at the numbers, but there's obviously a financial positive incentive for the car companies to lease vehicles.
And I feel like leasing for a first time person buying a car, I'm like imagining Damex, 19 years old, buying a car by himself. And it's a nice way to get a nicer vehicle than, you know what I mean, than you need. Like leasing's a nice way to drive I'm just thinking of my son, like, oh yeah, I can drive this nice truck because I'll just lease it, pay the $200. And I'm not saying that, but if he
was $200, that'd be
oh shoot, yeah, you know what I mean, $800. Sorry, I'm just envisioning like instead of him saving up money, go buy 5-year-old used car or something. You know what I mean? It's just starting your life off without getting a little asset going.
I love a nice vehicle more than anyone, I would say.
Yeah.
That's like one thing that like I feel a little
have a nice car if you're ready for it. I'm not saying that.
But I love the story of someone's like, well, I've had the same car. I think Peter said this before. He's like, my car's got 300,000 miles on it. He's like, and just
weren't you making fun of my car at work the other day?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, there's so many people that I've dealt with over the years, and they are worth multiple millions of dollars, and they are driving a 1998,
well, I think the average
Chevy pickup.
It is true research. The average millionaire buys used cars, and when I think people hear used, they're like, ugh, but they just like they'll go get the 2023 model right now instead of the 2025 because someone leased it and drove 20,000 miles on it. It's pretty much brand new still. So
there's nothing wrong. My college roommate's family, their farm family over in Eastern Iowa, they buy these older Buicks. I don't know what they are, but they have had like 30 of them, and they have like 4 of them in like a Quonset. That's just like one breaks down. And they're like 1990s Buicks, and that's all he had 3 different ones, the same car, just different color, different problems with it all through college, and that's all he ever drove. His siblings, all through high school and college, they all got the same car, and they just would get a couple of them at a time.
That's so funny.
Just randomly, Buicks, and they were actually. I drove. They were decent cars. Like I would drive the car. So
I got a Buick.
Yeah.
But honestly, let's just wrap this up. We're getting off the wheels here. No pun intended. Get it with the cars.
Oh, jeez. Oh, we're rolling.
There's a lot of advice online. It's not going away. It's only increasing day by day, and people get paid to influence. People have goals of influencing, which we're doing. I would say we're doing the same thing with our podcast. Is our goal of this podcast is to give education and influence people to set up financial plans, but there is so much information out there. Please be careful of who you're listening to and go through those 3 steps. Who am I listening to? Do they reach to my goals? And just kind of vet them, And
I do think it's great that people are, obviously these people have large amounts of views. So people are engaged and interested in the topics, which I do think it's just making sure we're going down to the right topics, or, that this is a valid source of information to absorb and educate yourself on.
And it's a good thing too, because it really tells you people really do want to understand their finances, right? Like people really want to know like what are the right things to do and not to do. It's just, again, be careful who you're listening to and realize these TikTok people aren't all experts.
Yep. All right. Have you seen any wild money tips online? Send it our way. We'd like to break it down, in the next episode, or if you got any
Comment.
that you're like, hey, this is crazy. What do you think about this? Send it to us. And Bailey always likes to share where you can find us at.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, Facebook, the website, Apple, Spotify. What am I missing, Peter? Don't have a mic, but you know what? Like, subscribe, share, comment what you're listening to financially online, because I am interested to see what other people hear. You could be a kid for as long as you want when you play baseball. Cal Ripken Jr.
Go Cubs.
You've been listening to How to Money with Cole and Cole, the podcast of Full Swing Financial Planning. To learn more, visit their website at www.fullswingfinancial.com and follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
For now, I'm Cole.
I'm Bailey.
And I'm Cole.
And we'll see you on the greens.
Security and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.